In the heart of New York City, Central Park is a place of beauty and tranquility by day, but as night falls, it transforms into a labyrinth of shadows and whispers. Taylor Swift, the beloved pop star known for her enchanting voice and heartfelt lyrics, had always found solace in the park. It was her refuge from the relentless pace of city life. One crisp autumn evening, Taylor decided to take a midnight stroll through the park, hoping to find inspiration for her next album. The park was eerily quiet, the usual hustle and bustle replaced by an unsettling stillness. The only sound was the occasional rustle of leaves as the wind swept through the trees. Taylor walked along the familiar paths until she reached the Bethesda Terrace, one of her favorite spots. She sat on the steps, the moonlight casting long shadows that danced around her. As she hummed a melody, she noticed a figure standing at the edge of the fountain, shrouded in darkness. "Hello?" Taylor called out, her voice echoing in the empty night. The figure did not respond or move. Unease crept over her, but she shook it off, attributing it to her imagination. She continued to sit, jotting down lyrics in her notebook. Minutes later, she heard footsteps approaching. She looked up, expecting to see a late-night jogger or another night owl, but there was no one there. The footsteps continued, growing louder and closer, yet the path remained empty. Taylor's heart began to race. She stood up, clutching her notebook tightly, and decided to leave. As she hurried down the path, the footsteps followed, matching her pace. She glanced over her shoulder, but the shadows seemed to swallow everything behind her. She broke into a run, her breath coming in short gasps. The footsteps quickened, now sounding like a stampede. Taylor veered off the main path, hoping to lose whatever was following her. She found herself in a secluded part of the park, surrounded by thick trees and dense underbrush. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped. Taylor paused, trying to catch her breath. The silence was deafening. She turned slowly, and there, standing just a few feet away, was the shadowy figure. Its face was obscured, but she could feel its gaze piercing through her. "Who are you? What do you want?" Taylor demanded, her voice trembling. The figure remained silent, but then it began to move closer, its form shifting and distorting. Taylor backed away, feeling the cold grip of fear tightening around her. She tripped over a fallen branch and fell to the ground, her notebook flying out of her hands. The figure loomed over her, and for a moment she thought she saw a glimmer of recognition in its eyes. It reached out a hand, and as it touched her, a flood of memories not her own surged through her mind. Glimpses of a life lived long ago, filled with sorrow and regret. Taylor screamed, and just as suddenly as it had begun, the vision ended. The figure was gone, and she was alone once more. She scrambled to her feet, grabbed her notebook, and ran out of the park, not stopping until she was safely back in her apartment. In the days that followed, Taylor couldn't shake the feeling that she had encountered something otherworldly. She researched the history of Central Park and discovered that the area around Bethesda Terrace was once the site of a small village, long forgotten, whose inhabitants had mysteriously vanished. She wrote a new song, Silent Shadows, capturing the haunting experience in her lyrics. The song became an instant hit, resonating with fans who felt the same eerie chill in its melody. But Taylor knew that the true story behind the song was something she would never fully understand. To this day, she avoids Central Park after dark, and the memory of that night lingers, a reminder that some shadows are more than just the absence of light.